All right. Good morning, everyone. Forgive us, we're maybe experiencing a few technical difficulties, but live video will do that to you. Thank you, Lindsay, for the like. We haven't even really started our show. Welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. With us, as always, is the Just the Tips Coaching Marketing Director, Jen Wayboer. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning.
And our special guest this week is Ryan Davis. Ryan, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
Oh, I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. It's always nice to have some fresh blood, as it were, with the show. So, Ryan, our typical MO is to get a little bit of background on our guest.
Sure.
Where you came from, how you got into the business, what you were doing prior. So, give us a little background about your work history, I guess.
Sure. The 30,000 foot view, so to say, right?
Exactly.
Came from the advertising and marketing world. Was corporate side, working as a national director of marketing, and suffered a layoff in 2008 when everything kind of turned. Everybody knows what happened then. So I decided that was a great time to get into real estate. And started working for one of the local builders here as a salesperson. Did that for a few years, and after realizing that I was kind of hitting a ceiling with potential, decided to make the jump from the builder side of real estate to the residential real estate side and joined Keller Williams. So I got my license, made the jump, kind of didn't have a parachute, and that's how I ended up here in real estate.
Okay. And give us a little bit of background on you personally. Are you married? Do you have kids?
Born and raised here. I'm one of the true natives here in Colorado. Met my wife actually in high school. Although we didn't stay together, we kind of separated for a while. Then about a decade later, ran into each other again and rekindled relationship. So got two awesome kids. They're now 10 and 6. Love to go up in the mountains. We spend a lot of time outdoors doing activities and really living our life to the fullest. My oldest is a boy, youngest is a girl, and our youngest definitely tries to run the roost.
Oh, I'll bet that that's the case, and probably with some success.
Yeah, with a lot of success.
Yeah, I was gonna say because we definitely our youngest knows who's in charge, and it's him, no question. Okay, so and you're here relatively local, right? You're I think in Castle Rock.
I'm in Castle Rock.
Okay.
But growing up here and working for a builder throughout the Front Range, I work all up and down I-25 corridor, also into the mountains up into Grand County and Summit County as well.
Okay.
So I've got some connections into those different boards, so we work into those.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
down here at Castle Rock for the main part.
I gotcha. And tell us about your first experiences in real estate. What was that like? Was it overwhelming? It obviously hasn't been all that long, and a lot of our audience is going to be relatively new agents. I mean, a lot of our coaching clients are new agents.
Sure.
So, were you overwhelmed? Where did you really find yourself succeeding when it came to tasks and techniques and ideas? And I guess one of my big questions would be, have you done bold?
I have done bold.
Okay.
I am bold. I am a bold graduate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, give us a window into the first few months of what Ryan's real estate career looked like.
Oh man. So
Oh man.
I fell victim to all what seems to be all of the cliches that you would hear from the newbie starting out in real estate. I was completely overwhelmed. I did not have 6 months of savings planned out. The decision to go from the builder to the real estate side was a very hasty one. Went to school, passed the test within 6 weeks, and made the jump. Not kind of planning out what the expectations were. I was like, hey, if these agents that I'm selling to as a builder can do this, I'm going to be able to knock this out of the park with no problem. We're going to kill it. Holy moly. I didn't actually sell my first place for 4 months. It took 4 months.
Okay, that's not bad. I've certainly heard tale of much longer. I'll bet Jen has too.
Right. So, of course, I joined Keller Williams. There's an incredible training program there. They really do put a lot of emphasis on teaching you fundamentals through, immediately took Ignite. And as a result of that Ignite class, I basically took the shotgun approach. I didn't have a big nest egg saved up. I had a family that I was the sole income earner on. So there wasn't the opportunity to fail. So door knocking, cold calling, FSBOs, calling expireds, standing outside of King Supers with a table saying how I can help with buying a house.
That's an interesting one, and in I don't know 75 episodes of our show here, and countless coaching clients and students in classes, I'm not sure I've ever heard that one.
Well, here's a little note on that. Get permission before you do it.
Okay. In the rare instance that it's better to ask for permission than forgiveness.
Right. It was literally every suggestion somebody had as a way to generate leads. I took it and did it. Open houses. I found out quickly I'm not very good at open houses. I'm not good at for sale by owners. So I was really taking this whole approach and narrowing it down to try to find my lane to stay in.
All right, well, hey, hang on, Ryan. I want to cover that because I have a lot of agents in our circle, whether it's students or coaching clients or agents that we just work with on our mortgage side, that say that exact kind of thing based on different techniques, tactics, whether it's cold calling or door knocking or FSBOs or whatever. And it's not so much that they suck at it, it's that they hate doing it.
Well, so I love doing things that bring me business.
Of course.
So when I was doing open houses, I was going out and door knocking the nearest 100 homes and leaving door hangers that we got from our title company, a title company that happened to be walking through at the time.
Sure.
I would do Facebook posts, Instagram posts. I would send out notifications through RE Colorado and through Realtor.com and Zillow and all the places, 3 to 4 days ahead of time to make sure that we would have traffic. And I'd borrow as many signs as I could, and I'd usually try to put around 20 signs.
Okay.
Out of 50 open houses, I have seen 12 people.
Yeah, we're going to let that sink in for a minute. And don't get me wrong, I know that those are realistic numbers. Years ago, I used to help agents do them and even cover them completely. And I remember sitting in one for hours one afternoon, and I didn't see a single soul. So I get it.
But I've seen, on the same side, there's a person in our office, Bud. This is all he does. Every single open house, he sees 20 or 30 people, and he sells $8 to $10 million a year solely on open houses. For some reason, maybe just people don't like my face, or whatnot, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna pass on this guy.
Well, maybe you should take your face off your signs.
That's a good sign. That's a good idea.
Yeah, just rope them in, and once they're in, then it doesn't matter how ugly we are.
No, but I did a shotgun approach, and that's really what it came down to. Is I tried everything, until I started getting some traction. And in the first few months, it was incredibly stressful. It was overwhelming. I felt like I was doing the tasks and not getting any results. And admittedly, on some of them, I just kind of stopped doing those tasks. And of course, I wouldn't see anything and focused on what was working and got my first deal. And once that first deal came through, a little confidence shot in and, was able to kind of keep the ball rolling.
Good.
Yeah,
I think that's the idea. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit and tell us where you did find some success, what kinds of lead gen tactics and techniques you exercise now.
Sure.
And why it works for you.
So narrowing down all those tactics, I kind of fell into, my lane, which I should have known all along. I'm really good in a group of people. So the way that we started initially lead generating in those early years was I would target events that had 20 or more people that I did not know there, and at least one person that I did know. And I would go to those events. These were happy hours. These were, Top Golf events. These were just parties from friends that were around town that I would just be invited to and go to, or go to my friends and say, hey, can you invite me along with you and introduce me? And that's where I started being able to make conversations happen with people that I didn't know, to build a database and to build that rapport with people that were potentially going to be buying houses. And that actually really started working. We started getting a lot of callbacks from those conversations, and we were able to open up a lot of conversations that led to real estate conversations that led to buying a home. And I focused really on buyers in that first couple of years. It was quicker, it was easier, to convert for me than it was for sellers. And I just felt a lot more comfortable having a buyer conversation than having a seller conversation.
That makes sense. And don't get me wrong, you are preaching to the choir when it comes to both Jen and I. We put an enormous amount of value on a contact database. And it's usually one of the first things we teach any of our coaching clients or students is that you've got to have a robust contact database. And it doesn't matter what kind of marketing you want to do. If you want to do snail mail or email or a text campaign or a slide broadcast campaign or on and on and on,
right,
you have to have a contact database to do that.
Right.
And it's funny because typically we recommend focusing on that activity, contact database building activities, when it comes to open houses. But of course, if nobody's going to walk in the door, that's going to make it more difficult, right?
And I think after the open houses, after 5 or 6 of them, I'm not seeing anybody. I think I got a bad attitude for them. And then that carried over to the rest of that, and it just soured the whole thing. But unwittingly, I started building a database based on these happy hour events and these different events that I was going to. And I was very diligent at following the advice that I was getting from our coaching at Keller Williams to enter that into your database, whatever it happens to be. Track it, set them up on a follow-up campaign, and then actually do the task to follow up. Once I started moving over to the seller side and started getting a few of the buyers that bought houses, started wanting to sell and referring sellers, we focused a little more narrowly. We've identified a geographical farm, and we started doing community events there, where we would sponsor and host everything from an Easter egg hunt to a turkey trot. We have a 4th of July bike parade. It's a Oktoberfest type of event, but we call it the Meetoberfest, where people in the neighborhood get to bring their specialty meats that they get to smoke on their smokers, cook on their cookers, slow roast or whatever they want to do. And we invite everybody from the neighborhood to show off their culinary skills. And we do this as a way to generate seller leads.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. That is a lot of fun. I love the way that is pictured in my mind.
Well, and it's great because the reason why we actually do these community events is there's a couple different folds. We bring a community together and create a service and a value there where there's actually fun events that are free to the residents that create a community and value. There's too many of these neighborhoods that have Facebook or next door pages where everybody yells and complains at each other.
Well,
Right.
or they talk about the foxes or the coyotes.
Or fox, yeah, exactly. Or the dogs that are trampling on someone's grass,
You know,
which
or
is
barking. Oh,
right.
fireworks. Don't get us started on Douglas
Oh,
County.
yeah.
Yeah, don't get us started on Facebook and next door Douglas County fireworks posts.
Fireworks,
Holy cow.
right? So we have a service there, but then we also create a connection with the sellers that are in the community, and we open up, just like on the buy side in those smaller events, we open up conversations that are real estate based and build a database there and create those connections.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. So I do want to go back a little bit because, and Jen would kill me if I didn't, because there is uh, a course of events that Ryan is describing here that is very basic. Everybody should know. Very few people actually remember or exercise. That is crucial to you guys building a contact database, turning those contacts into relationships, turning those relationships into clients, and it's exactly that. That's what you guys need to be doing, is building a contact database, reaching out to these people, forming relationships, having conversations. Eventually those conversations lead into real estate conversations. We all know psychologically people that are virtual strangers are going to ask, what do you do? Ryan's telling them what he does. If it's somebody he knows moderately well or very well, they're going to ask, how's work? Here's another door that's opened up to have a conversation about real estate. I guarantee you Ryan is taking advantage. And eventually these relationships become friendships, friends become clients, they become repeat clients, they become advocates, they become referral sources. So the details of what Ryan is describing here is what I want you guys to, well, you know. It's not that I want you guys to know, because you do. You're just not actually doing it, or at least 99% of you know, and 20% of you are doing it, which is, why 80% of real estate agents are failing in 2 years, period. But yeah, so sorry, Ryan, I don't want to digress from that, but I want to fill in those itty bitty gaps because while you and I get it, the majority of our audience needs, they need don't get run over. Some people need practical advice.
So if you look back behind me, you see a bunch of different boards. This is how we track. We track all of our clients and all the people that are far away, close, in the middle somewhere, and we're always trying to move those clients down up the ladder, and we track it. Buyers, sellers, active listings or active clients that are closed or whatnot, and then we have the calendar of events for things that were going around, and that ties into our most immediate method of following up is how do we organize our day. Mondays and Tuesdays we're calling new leads and new buyers that we've just recently made contacts to. We call all of them. If we don't have anybody that we met, we go into our database and we do the method where you pick out 50 names in alphabetical order and you call down, and then the next week you call the next ones. So you're calling everybody in your database over the entire year. Then on Wednesdays we send out emails. On Thursdays we do follow-ups to those emails and we send texts. On Fridays, we're setting up showings. It's a pretty routine and boring protocol, but I find
No. It's
boring.
It's systemized, it's automated, it's constant, it's consistent. These are the exact things we try to teach on and coach on, and even better. And to be perfectly honest, I could still be better about this with those systems in our mortgage office. But yes, it is exactly what you guys need to get a handle on when it comes to how you're handling your lead flow, your pipeline, your transactions, however you guys want to describe it. And it's actually all of the above because those are different segments of that system from a new contact all the way to closing, is encompassing in that system. But no, Ryan, not boring. You're making me smile. I'm trying to keep this PC, but that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, what else?
Okay, so I think that we'd really like to get a solid handle on what you see going forward. Obviously, the real estate market is dynamic. If you've got a stagnant model, any of you guys, if you've got a stagnant business model, if you've got a stagnant lead gen model, whatever the case may be, you're going to have struggles. You've got to stay as dynamic as the real estate business is in itself. So tell us what you're envisioning going forward. What's your lead gen going to look like? How are those processes going to change? Are you going to add to your team? What is the latter half of 19, 20, 21 going to look like for Ryan and company?
So we're facing some changes in our market. I think if you haven't felt or recognized the shift that's taken place and it's actively moving right now, then you're not paying attention, because there is an absolute shift happening. So we're really trying to be proactive with educating our clients and the people that we have communications with on this shift, and how are we going to help address, capitalizing on that. With our sellers, we're being even more so very transparent about what's happening, and we're not taking listings when a seller is unwilling to recognize that the market has shifted and they're not going to be pushing the price anymore. There's been quite a few conversations where we've had in the last few weeks where we've been with sellers and they're trying to price their house 10% or 5 to 10% over what the valid comps are showing, because they think this is still a seller's market and they can price it for whatever they want. So we're turning those down, and we're being very, very upfront with people about pricing. We're trying to be in front of that.
Okay, hang on, Ryan, because there's a piece of this that I want the audience to understand that just comes organically to you and Di and anybody who's had some longevity and some success, etc., is that because of the activities that Ryan has done over these years, the things that he's describing for all of you in fairly decent detail, if you're paying attention, is that he now has the ability to turn clients away. If he knows that this is not going to close, or this is going to cause all kinds of brain damage, or I'm going to end up earning 13 cents an hour fighting with these clients, whether they're buyers or sellers, he no longer has to take those deals. Now, I understand that a lot of you are brand new agents and you're going to take every buyer, every seller that you can get your hands on at this point. But know that the kinds of activities, the constant and consistent lead gen types of activities, the systemization that's on those boards behind Ryan, are the kinds of things that are going to lead to him being able to say, no, this is not realistic, and I can't sell your home under these conditions, so good luck.
Well, and what's the interesting thing about it is actually a couple of these sellers that we've turned down and said no to went with the other person, priced way too high, sat on for 3 months, ended up like one of them, we're just about to close here, ended up canceling and terminating their listing agreement and came back to us 3.5 months later, where we then priced it correctly, put it on the market, sold in 2 weeks, got under contract in 2 weeks, and we're about to close. And that kind of leverage and power there, and knowing your numbers, knowing your worth, but also knowing what the market is doing, is going to bring clients that will be your champions. Because the one that I'm speaking of specifically, she's now referred us 3 different buyers, specifically because we know what's going on and we're willing to fight for that and stand up for that, not just roll over.
We did have a guest on a recent show, completely unrelated. He's not a real estate agent or a mortgage originator, although closely tied to both industries, say if you really want to, something to the effect, and Barry, I'm sorry I'm misquoting you, if you really want to win people over, impress clients, leads, etc., give them the bad news. Tell them all the bad things.
Yep.
And
be upfront and be quick. Don't hold the bad news. Give the bad news right away.
In the mortgage industry, that's what we've called a slow no.
Yes. The slow no's are terrible.
Terrible. Just tell them no, it can't be done. Here's what needs to be resolved. Yeah.
Yeah. So going forward, we're recognizing the market shift. So we're actually seeking a marketing coordinator to add to our team, because what our goal is as 2020 goes through and it continues to kind of pull back and become more of a neutral market, we want to capture market share, and we're looking to add to our team in that manner. We've tried to add buyer's agents before, but it's very difficult finding somebody who has the same work ethic and pride in that work ethic as I do. So I see you smirking.
You're absolutely right. I get it. But, and I know the majority of my team is watching, so thank you all for your work ethic.
Yes, but I think that's where we're going. I believe right now, if I adding a marketing coordinator, I already have a director of operations in Carmen, and then we have a transaction manager on our team. Adding that marketing person, I believe we'll be able to get to between 30 and 35 million in production, just without having to add another buyer's agent or listing agent on the team.
That's good. That's really good. All right, so you guys heard it. If you want to join Ryan for some marketing work, Jen, you could probably give Ryan all the ins and outs of what that role looks like on your side. But absolutely. So yeah, Ryan, fantastic stuff. Thank you so much. This has been, I hope our audience appreciates the content as much as Jen and I do. And there is some consumerism in our viewership. So give us the highlights on how people can reach out to you, either to be part of Ryan's team or certainly to hire Ryan's team for their real estate needs.
Well, it's very simple. You can either just give me a phone call or a text message, usually the fastest way to get a hold of me. Do you want me to just give my number?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
My number is 720-207-3992. Give me a ring anytime. Shoot me a text message. I'm pretty quick to respond. Email is also a great way to reach me. And my email is very simple. It's ryan@ryanandcoinc.co.
Perfect. Well, Ryan, again, thank you. Jen, I've mentioned you a number of times. Anything you want to ask Ryan about?
No, I think this is all great.
She's going to ask how much you're going to pay your marketing director.
We haven't decided yet.
Jen, Castle Rock's a much shorter commute.
Yeah.
Okay. Jen's in Monument, so she commutes to our office in the tech center every day. Used to be worse. She used to make the commute from Peyton to the tech center every day. Yeah, see, that's the face I always make. All right, so thank you again, Ryan.
That's got to be terrible.
Oh, it would be awful. Yeah, even as a real estate agent who spends a bunch of time in the car, Jen, he says that commute is awful.
That's right.
All right, so thank you to all of you watching, and of course, as always, if you want more information about the show, being a guest on the show, our coaching program, if you want a copy of Just the Tips, by all means, use that text code scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Ryan, don't go anywhere. We're going to sign off, and we'll have a brief conversation offline here.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.